FIFA World Cup, the ultimate holy grail of global football, is on the absolute verge of extinction, pushed to the brink not by hooligans or match fixing, but by Gianni Infantino's relentless obsession with private equity. Look at the headlines flooding Europe right now. This isn't just another petty bureaucratic spat over calendar congestion. This is an all-out nuclear civil war between Neon and Zurich. FIFA wants to slice up 20% of its ultimate crown jewel, the World Cup, and hand it over on a silver platter to Wall Street venture capitalists for a cool $4.2 billion cash injection. In response, UEFA just dropped the megaton bomb. All 55 European member associations have formally pledged to boycott the World Cup entirely, both men's and women's. Think about that for a second. A World Cup without Kylian Mbappé, without Jude Bellingham, without Lamine Yamal, and without Spain or England. What you're left with isn't a World Cup. It's a glorified, overpriced exhibition tournament. Is Gianni Infantino genuinely convincing himself that a tournament featuring Vanuatu versus San Marino will pull in billions from broadcasters? Or has FIFA's insatiable greed finally levied a tactical tax so exorbitant that it will bankrupt the very soul of the game forever? Let's perform the autopsy. To fully grasp the magnitude of this structural collapse, we need to bypass the emotional rhetoric and examine the cold, hard balance sheet. Follow the money, as they say in the city. At the epicenter of this tectonic shift lies FIFA's newly birthed child, a commercial entity dubbed FIFA Forward Enterprise, FFE. The operational blueprint is deceptively simple yet utterly ruthless. FFE is engineered to seize, manage, and extract every drop of commercial value from FIFA's premier assets, chiefly the World Cup. Here is how the structural equity is split. FIFA retains 80% equity, maintaining nominal control over sporting decisions, rules, and match calendars. Private equity takes 20% equity, valued at $4.2 billion out of FFE's total $20 billion corporate valuation. Lead investor, Driver, a high-profile U.S. venture capital fund created under the umbrella of Joshua Kushner, brother to Jared Kushner, Donald Trump's son-in-law. When you interweave elite football, Wall Street venture capital, and top-tier political dynasties, you aren't just modernizing sports administration, you are corporate rating a cultural heritage. FIFA, predictable as ever, launched an immediate PR damage control campaign. Their official position? Private investors will hold a strict minority stake with zero governance over sporting decisions, no control over tournament structures, rulebooks, or match calendars. Nonsense. Absolute, unadulterated nonsense. Anyone who understands basic corporate finance knows that venture capital doesn't do passive partnership. When an equity firm drops billions into an asset, their fiduciary duty is single-minded, yield optimization. They demand compound annual growth rates. They demand aggressive monetization of every single minute of coverage. To force this monstrous proposal through the 2-on-1 member associations, Infantino deployed a classic divide-and-conquer strategy through direct financial leverage, immediate cash injection. Member federations receive $20 million, $15 million upfront, simply for voting yes before the firm deadline. Long-term payout, supporting the full tenure bumps that individual federation pay out to $40 million. Global development budget. FIFA promises to supercharge its overall global development pool past $10 billion, expanding the FIFA Forward budget from $8 million to $20 million per nation for the 2027-2030 cycle. For small, cash-strapped federations in Oceania, Africa, or the Caribbean, $40 million isn't just funding, it's a structural lifeline. It is an offer designed precisely to render resistance impossible for the majority, effectively outvoting Europe's footballing aristocracy with financial bribes masquerading as developmental aid. Infantino thought he had engineered the ultimate checkmate. He counted on the smaller nations lining up like disciplined soldiers to secure their checks, leaving Europe isolated in a corner. But he severely miscalculated the geopolitical dynamic of European football. He walked straight into a trap of his own making. Enter Alexander Cheferin and the UEFA Executive Committee. In an emergency summit held in Nyon, UEFA didn't just reject the proposal, they completely flipped the board over. In an unprecedented show of absolute unity, all 55 European member associations voted unanimously to launch a scorched earth boycott. The official statement published on UEFA's portal didn't use soft diplomatic language. It delivered an absolute execution of FIFA's narrative. The FIFA World Cup is not a financial asset to be leveraged. It is a legacy built across generations by players, national teams, and billions of fans worldwide. Selling off even a fraction of its commercial soul to private equity is an irredeemable betrayal. UEFA laid bare FIFA's tactics, calling out the secretive behind-closed-doors development of FFE, the total lack of genuine consultation with continental bodies, and the coercive nature of the deadline. UEFA explicitly labeled Infantino's maneuver as governance by extortion and a catastrophic failure of moral leadership. The psychological shift in this war was instant. FIFA attempted to play the benevolent dictator offering gold. UEFA responded like an ideological roadblock standing in front of a corporate steamroller. The ultimatum was matched with a far heavier counter-ultimatum: cancel the sale of commercial rights permanently, lock the door to private equity forever, or face a World Cup without a single European nation. No qualifiers, no stars, no broadcast deals worth signing. This isn't merely a disagreement over commercial distribution. This is Super League 2.0. Except this time, UEFA isn't the villain fighting its own clubs. They are positioning themselves as the last guardians defending the sanctity of international football against American venture capitalism. To understand why UEFA's nuclear option carries absolute lethal weight, we have to strip away the politics and look at the actual tactical engine of world football. FIFA can print as many glossy brochures as it wants, but football's actual currency isn't USD, it's elite talent. And elite talent lives almost exclusively under UEFA's umbrella. Let's run the actual statistical autopsy on European dominance across major international tournaments. Historical titles. European nations hold 13 out of 23 World Cup trophies. WO 56.5% all-time dominance. Recent men's World Cups. UEFA represented 6 out of 8 quarterfinalists in 2018, 5 out of 8 in 2022, and 6 out of 8 in 2026. Women's World Cup, 3 out of 4 semi-finalists in the 2023 edition belong to UEFA. Club World Cup 2025, 3 out of 4 semi-finalists were European powerhouses. If you extract UEFA from the World Cup equation, you don't just reduce the quality, you utterly hollow out the product. A boycott instantly wipes out 75% of the quarterfinalists and 3/4 of the semi-finalists of modern international football. What happens to the broadcast rights value when Sky, BBC, DAZN, or ESPN are asked to pay billions for a tournament where the reigning world champion Spain, alongside football powerhouses France, England, Germany, and Italy, are completely absent? The answer is simple: the commercial model collapses instantaneously. Furthermore, consider the physical reality imposed on the players, the actual working class of this billion-dollar industry. Under private equity ownership, how does a VC firm maximize profit on a $4.2 billion investment? They force the expansion of match calendars. They push for a 48-team or 64-team bloat. They lobby for biennial World Cups to double their monetization cycles. We are already seeing the tactical breakdown of elite players. High-intensity pressing systems, PPDA metrics spiking across top leagues, combined with overloaded schedules, are causing soft tissue injuries to surge by over 30% across European leagues. Players like Jude Bellingham or Erling Haaland are already pushing past 60 high-intensity matches a season. Forcing them into an inflated, corporate-driven summer meat grinder isn't tactical evolution. It is human exploitation disguised as entertainment. UEFA's boycott isn't just a political flexing of muscle, it is a mandatory tactical intervention to prevent the complete physical burnout of European football's greatest assets. We are now witnessing the absolute macro crisis of modern sports governance. The standoff between UEFA and FIFA has exposed the fundamental, irreconcilable paradox at the heart of football. Can a nonprofit global governing body coexist with raw, unregulated American venture capital? The reality is stark. FIFA has backed itself into a corner. If Gianni Infantino refuses to back down before the upcoming Congress, UEFA won't just sit home and watch TV. They have the structural power, the financial backing, and the broadcast infrastructure to launch their own rival global tournament. Imagine a global nations cup organized directly by UEFA and CONMEBOL. Suddenly, FIFA is left holding an empty shell of a brand while real football migrates elsewhere. The ultimate lesson here transcends 90 minutes of football. History, prestige, and century-old traditions cannot be packaged as equity assets for short-term balance sheet expansions. Football's greatness was built by generations of working-class supporters and national rivalries, not by private equity boardrooms seeking double-digit dividends. If FIFA continues to mistake its stewardship of the game for absolute ownership, they will quickly realize that an empire without its best players isn't an empire at all. It's just an empty stadium waiting for the lights to be turned off. Infantino's desperate push for private equity didn't happen in a vacuum. It is the direct consequence of FIFA trying to fund its monstrous 32-team Club World Cup format, a project that was already unraveling behind the scenes. To understand how FIFA's financial miscalculations first started breaking the domestic league structures, click right here to watch our deep dive analysis on how the new Club World Cup broke European football. I'll see you over there.